record button. Hey, Christine, Carmela. Gotta grab some writing utensils. So down here, I have my drawing, taking picture page to a whole new level. Yep, that's right. Not just for advertising, right? And not just for outlining what I'm gonna do today. Although when I draw my outlines, that'll be exactly what it is. For those of you not familiar, and maybe this is your first live drawing with me, I do a project called Tweet to Paper, which over on Twitter, I find a tweet that kind of catches my eye that day, and then I draw it up later that night on Blab. If you haven't checked them out, go ahead and check out Tweet. Oh, I can, thank you for that. I'm going to up my microphone volume. Input. That must be better. How is this now? How are we doing? We doing good? All right, maybe that's better. Anyways, I'll keep it up. Are we better? Thanks, Reiki. Much appreciated. So yeah, on these Tweet to Papers, I find a tweet that kind of strikes me, and I draw it up later that night. Lately, I've been doing it on Blab, so we can kind of talk about it. And today, most of you probably heard, there was a 14-year-old boy in Texas named Ahmed Mohammed who got arrested for building a clock and bringing it to school. Using his creativity and using his ingenuity to, make this clock out of electronic parts, something that I used to play with as a kid, take stuff apart, see how it works, and put it back together. But yeah, he got arrested because of racism. That's all it is. Its creativity was stifled, and yeah, he got put in cuffs and taken on down. We have James popping in the seat here if it kind of clicks. Hey, James.
Sounds like you're giving really good content, but I can hardly hear you, dude. I don't know what's going on with your mic.
I know
you probably care about your audio and your visual.
I do. Thank you. Here we go. All right. How's this? Better?
If you can turn it up a little bit.
Better. Anything?
No.
What the heck is going on here?
Maybe it's just me. Is it anybody else that's watching? Does he sound low?
Testing.
Yeah, sounds low. Yes.
I'll put volume. Testing. What if I crank it? Testing.
Yeah, they're telling you a little bit low.
Okay. What I'm gonna do.
You sound far from the mic. How far are you? Are you using your laptop mic?
1 moment.
Oh, no problem. This moment brought to you by Aaron.
Let's try this out. Is this any better?
That is better. Wow.
Okay, I know exactly why. Because when I started the Blab, it was using my laptop mic, but I have a separate mic over here that wasn't, and it didn't let me switch it in between while the Blab was going.
Good
so
stuff.
we are rolling, and thanks so much,
Awesome.
James, for the heads.
No problem.
Thank
you. Whatever you just said, might want to repeat it so they can hear you.
I'm going to. Good idea. Yeah, I'm going to throw some props that way too. Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, if you haven't done this before, I'll go through my little spiel again. I do Tweet to Papers. Tweet to Paper is where I find a tweet that day that kind of strikes me and catches my eye, and I draw it up later that night on Blab, And it's my hope that people will kind of join the conversation of whatever topic we're doing that day. Previous ones, you see, you don't need pants on the internet. I think that's just a rule that we all are very well aware of. Another one is, if you're able to believe in Santa Claus for like 8 years, you can believe in yourself for like 5 seconds. So obviously those are very different topics of discussion. But today, I chose the topic of creativity because, as we all know, there's a 14-year-old high school freshman named Ahmed Mohammed who used his creativity, his ingenuity, and his just love of electronics or whatever
to build a clock. And then he brought it to school. He showed it off to his teacher. One teacher said it was cool. The English teacher didn't know what it was. And because the kid was brown, called the cops, and the cops arrested him for bringing a bomb to school. Now that is stifling creativity. That's not just stifling creativity. That is punishing creativity and not understanding. Plus, it's crazy racist. So the tweet I picked today was from Elactawala, or Emily Lactawala on Twitter. And it reads, creativity should be nurtured, not punished. And I think in a lot of, maybe in a lot of households, a lot of cultures, creativity isn't pushed as hard as something more. Thanks for joining, Will and Joy. Creativity isn't pushed, isn't regarded in the same light as something more practical, as they say, you know. But I'm proof you can grow up and be a designer for a living, and you can use your creativity. You can be a writer for a living, but you need people around you to nurture that and support it. And since the news made the rounds, I think it's pretty obvious that, yeah, people are supporting this now. Ahmed has gotten invitations to the White House, invitations to Facebook, invitations to Google Science Project. So yeah, it's happening. And if anybody wants to hop in the open seat, I definitely encourage you and tell me what creativity means to you, how your creative life has been going. We're welcoming Shelton to this stage, as it were.
Hey,
Shelton.
Creativity is life for me.
Boom. Yes. How so? Would you like to expand?
Well, just being creative is what keeps me alive. Like if I wasn't creative, then I wouldn't have any reason for existence. So I right now I'm trying to write song lyrics for people on Blab, like about people on Blab. So
okay.
I will write song lyrics about somebody. All they have to do is like tell me like, okay, write a song about me, and I'll write a song about them. I've written like 3 or 4 songs about people already, but that's my little drummer boy moment for the time being.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, how many of these songs have you written, and is it just something that, like for me, being creative, it's, yeah, you said it's like life. Is it like just your creative outlet for life, or do you have like an end goal with this one day?
Oh, I have no connection to the music business, and I can write lyrics. That's what I can write lyrics. But I don't know anything about music. So in other words, it's just verse.
Okay.
And someone else would have to put the music to the words.
Right on, right on. Well, let's see. So we have Jave and
Jordy. Right, Jordy.
Oh, Jordy. Have you written a song for Jordy already?
No, I haven't. I write a song about Jordy. It takes me about 15 minutes to write a song.
Oh, I see.
Hey, Erda. I guess I don't want to mispronounce your name.
I know it's really tough, right? So, Erda, Shelton, okay, what's your background besides writing songs? Do you get to use creativity at your job? How was creativity growing up?
It took me about 20 years to realize I was creative because I was a newspaper reporter.
Okay.
Growing up, and then I went to Seoul, South Korea, and realized that I have lots of creative things in my secret chest of tools, and so that's what happened. I can write, I can take pictures, I can write song lyrics, I can sing, I'm a DJ.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes.
So it looks like you get to express yourself creatively in your everyday life, huh? Besides just hanging out on Blab and making lyrics.
I just enjoy being creative, just in general.
Was it promoted in your household? I just want to hear what like other people's lives were.
I'll leave. Just when I was no, it wasn't really encouraged. I mean, if it had been encouraged when I was a child, maybe I would, maybe it would have been, maybe I regret that it wasn't encouraged more when I was a child, because maybe I would have become a singer-songwriter when I was a child instead of a journalist, or an actor or something. So anyway,
but there's always time. And yeah, I want to thank you for your time, but there's always time, remember. And you're starting something right now, so might as well continue it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, Sylvie, go on. If you want to hop in, by all means. Creativity should be nurtured, not punished. Just laying out where everything is going. And I'm going to let Sylvie Moon hop on in.
Hi, Aaron.
Hello, Sylvie.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly, unlike
Good.
when I started, apparently. So what does creativity mean to you? How has it affected your life?
Gosh, okay.
Not to put you on the spot.
Creativity. No, this is why I'm here. Creativity to me is freedom and play and fun.
Freedom, play, and fun.
Yeah, as long as it contains those, and exploration. Lots of adventure and exploration.
Yes. Now that I can get behind.
Being curious, which is, I think, part of being playful, is being curious, being innocent, trying to keep your mind young.
Yeah, all that stuff really plays into keeping an open mind and letting the ideas come without stifling them and kind of being, I don't want to say self-judgmental, but it's like if you are curious and are willing to adventure, then who knows where you can go.
Yeah, I mean, if you are constantly editing yourself, it stifles your creativity.
Yes, for real.
And it's really hard to learn not to edit yourself. It takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of self-exploration, and a lot of bravery just to kind of try things. Like here, you're just hanging out. Like, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to draw and have a conversation with whoever wants to join in.
I'm trying to not miss any words and misspell some words. That's always a big challenge for me.
Focus.
So James jumped in.
Yeah, I want to tell you my version of creativity. James. It's usually, my general sense is working within the parameters given as much as possible.
Yes.
So if you're only given
I love parameters
and a paper, then that's all you're given. Then you try to do with that what you can. If you're only given clay, you do with that what you can. If you're only given a life, you do with that what you can.
I think parameters is really important, especially when you want to finish something or make it really, make it work. I think it's a lot easier when you have less to work with, or when you limit yourself to, a certain, decide, I'm just going to use this particular pen, this one black pen and this one white piece of paper, and I'm going to do lettering like, Aaron's doing. And I love when you can limit yourself, because it helps. I think it helps me a lot when I'm working on my art.
Yeah, it gives you having some rules to follow and having those boundaries, those limits. It forces you to find a creative way to make something look good, or a creative way to express yourself. And it doesn't have to be visual arts or 2D arts. It can be, expressive arts, poetry, singing, is lyric writing.
Creative dance.
Creative dance. That's why I like, from time to time, finger dancing. Finger dancing. That is a thing. I watch those on YouTube sometimes.
Finger dancing. No. Yeah.
I like it.
I like it.
Ooh. Oh wait, you can have them kind of do what is this called? Like some kind of a.
Oh no. Oh, you
Latin
can make
dance,
them
a very sexy.
You can
Latin
make them into a puppet.
What?
Hey, how are you doing? I'm doing okay. You're so funny, Hands. Thank you.
It's your buddy.
Exactly.
But all these things, I mean, people do find inspiration in just these. Yeah, okay. My constraints are I'm only going to dance with my hands, or you're going to make that snake. Everyone I think we all learned how to do that. Oh, he's eating you, or something's happening.
I don't know. I'm feeding him.
Oh, you're feeding him like a baby bird. But yeah, people figure out how to do amazing things working within these creative restraints, and that only comes from, exploring. Basically, MacGyver. Like, okay, well, I have a paper clip and I have a bubble gum. What can I do with this? And it's a lot of fun to work within these restraints, and it's really amazing when you can see what people can do with them.
Yes.
So, Sylvie, what are your creative outlets?
Well, I started in when I was a little kid with my mom doing crafting, a lot of crafting. She used to make stuff like she'd sew and she'd, put flowers together, flower arrangements. We'd paint all kinds of stuff. And my dad used to do wrought iron, and he did stained glass and woodworking and all kinds of stuff. So and he'd draw too. He did a lot of drawing. So I just kind of grew up with him doing stuff, grew up with both of them, watching them and doing projects with them. And then when I was older, I got into college and I started really getting into poetry. So I started writing poetry and then back to drawing. And I kind of got stuck with painting and drawing as my main love, but I've picked up the guitar. I'm always into something. I mean, I'm really curious about a lot of different ways to express yourself. I mean, I love acting. I'd love to eventually learn how to act or be in some plays or something just for fun, nothing serious, but just to kind of see what that does for me, what comes out of me through those different ways of being creative.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. I bounce around. I used to bounce around so many different hobbies.
Yes.
Frankie says, watch the magic happen. And so I really love magic cards. So I play magic cards and finding a creative way to play that. But as far as traditionally creative things, I got a couple of guitars in the background, dulcimer. Let's see. I tried my hand at improv and stand up, but there came a point where there came a point where I was like, okay, well, I need to make one of these work. And which one seems like a better bet right now? So that's when I dedicated most of my time to graphic design and art.
Yeah.
But I still dabble, and I think dabbling is fine once you find a nice balance and rhythm in what you're interested in. Like my graphic design career, I mean, I've been working in-house design for a while, so I can let a little bit more time in for comedy and those other creative endeavors.
Yeah, I think they keep you fresh, like I'm the same way. I've really dedicated most of my time to art and illustration, but I do like to kind of branch out a little bit just sometimes when you have that creative block and you can't you feel a little stuck. I feel like sometimes just doing something completely different that still feels creative to me helps me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it helps you grow. And if anybody wants to pop in the open seat and let us know what creativity is to you, how you use creativity in your daily life, if you get a chance to. I know a lot of people think they don't have a chance to be creative. And that's
or a lot of people don't feel they are creative. They think they're not,
Yes.
And I think everybody has creativity in them. They just, I think a lot of times we have had bad experiences as in little art classes or something when we're young, and so then we think, oh, I can't draw, or I can't do that. It kind of we limit ourselves.
Right, and we're kind of taught to limit ourselves sometimes.
Joey's here.
Let's see, we got Joey up here. Hi, Joey. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
We're good. I'm good.
Good, cool. I just wanted to
good.
Touch base on something you said earlier about when you were talking about how creativity should be nurtured, not punished.
Right.
That some people think that it's more, safer to approach the more practical route in life and stuff like that. I'm going to school right now to get my associates in graphic design. So
nice.
That's something that I'm pursuing, but what you said earlier was actually it kind of made me think a little bit because I've always considered myself a little creative and more towards the art side of things, especially towards in my education. I'm a pretty big guy, and I was never interested in sports or football or nothing like that. So I grew up in kind of a smaller town. So it's not like when you grow up in a smaller town, it's like people have these certain ideas of what you should be doing. You know,
Yeah.
so boys should play football or sports, and after you do that, you should either go to college or find a job and start a family and stuff like that. So like the idea of people's perception of what you're doing with your life is pretty much already made up for you. I guess.
Yeah, they want to put you on a path, and you don't really have an opportunity to dream bigger, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I know some people have a lot more opportunity. It all depends on, you know, your environment and where you grow up and stuff like that. Your childhood, especially your upbringing. But growing up, I was born in LA, so I lived in California till I was 13, 14. And then after that, I moved to New Mexico with my grandparents, and I lived there, and I've been here since. So I live in Roswell, New Mexico, and that's where I've been for the last 18 years or whatever. 20
So
years.
what was it that you just woke up one day and you said, you know what, I'm going for this?
Well, no, actually, the point I was getting was out here, that's the mentality of what people should be doing, you know, the basic things of what you should be doing with your life. And I kind of went that route. And
good.
After high school, I did, you know, the 18-year-old thing, went and partied and experienced life and traveled a little bit and stuff like that. But when I came back, I got a job in the petroleum industry. So I was working in the oil field, and at the time, the money was excellent. So it was practical for me to stay complacent in doing what I was doing, you know.
Yeah.
And I've always been figured myself as somewhat creative but I never took the opportunity to step into those shoes and try to take that walk in life.
Yeah, my brother.
I got complacent.
Yeah, my brother. I have a baby brother. He's 21 years old now, and he's kind of in that zone where he's realizing, okay, well, yeah, I'm doing some menial labor. I'm getting by. This is fine, but what am I doing?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Vader, one moment. Vader, it looks like you must be on mobile, or the Wi-Fi signal is a little weak.
Hello.
So I might have to cut you off. But I hope you stick around and chat and provide
Sound.
content that way. Yeah, I got to cut you off, Vader. I'm sorry. Sorry, Vader. But yeah, Joy, I mean, I think a lot of people feel the way you feel and kind of get to a point where like, okay, yeah, I've done enough of this stuff that isn't really what I want to do. And you're actually taking a step forward and working on doing something that makes you happy for your future and something that's going to, you know, be a nice career.
Yeah, the only actual, and I really have to probably, it wasn't even really my decision to do this. I kind of fell into the opportunity to approach this, but you know, my own personal experience, by the time I realized that I was already almost 9 years into working in the oil field, and that's way more than I really wanted to stay. And you know, with gas and all that stuff that's going on, and I lost my job, and that wasn't on me. That was just from the company that I got laid off. But it gave me the opportunity to think, you know, what have I done with my life to this point?
Yep.
I'm 33 years old, and I've wasted almost a decade, you know, doing something that I really was miserable at when I left. So I had this opportunity, so I decided to take it, and that's where I'm at right now. And
I think that just goes to show that when you figure out what you want to do, when you figure out what's going to make you happy, even if you've dedicated so much time to something else, it's never too late. Education is always out there. If you have the drive, you can find ways to kind of make it happen. And it looks like you're doing that. I see we have Craig here. Hi, Craig. Good to see you again. What's going on?
G'day, Aaron. How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good one.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, g'day, Joey. Yeah, I'm from New Zealand, so if I sound funny, that's why. I just wanted to jump in really quickly. I'm working, but I really, really enjoy your show, Aaron, and we'll call it a show because this is my background, you know, sound while I'm working. So.
Oh, great. Well, I appreciate that. Great.
I really like your manner on the show, and I love what you're doing. I think it's awesome. But in terms of creativity, one of the interesting things that I find, and as a designer, is, you know, we have there are rules when it comes to graphic design, and I had a background in art, and I went through school doing lots and lots of painting and drawing and printmaking and all of those kind of very creative type things. And what happens to a certain extent when you get into the graphic industry is it becomes a little bit more stifled because because you've got a lot of parameters around the process. You know, like if you're creating a logo, you want it to be simple. You want it to be, you know, those sorts of things. You know what I'm talking about?
We may want it to be that way, but the client does not always agree.
Yeah, and I guess what I wanted to kind of, you know, include in the conversation around those things is the immense amount of creativity involved in those fields where there are those really kind of tight parameters.
Yeah.
And, you know, and for example, just while you were talking, and thinking about the creative process, that when I'm designing a logo, or when you're designing a logo, whatever, you're bringing to that creative process a whole lot of background information. So, for example, I might spend 2 or 3 days just researching the types of descriptions that I want to capture in my client's logo. So I'll spend 2 or 3 days just, you know, and people don't think about that in terms of the creative process, that we're bringing together all of this information, and then what we're doing is we're filling our brain with all those really, really important things. And what I've found, and this is where the artistic and creative part comes in, is I almost step away from the computer, and I step away from the tools, and I get a pencil and a paper, and it's almost like I completely shut off, and I just put my hand on the paper, and I start to scribble, and I start to draw. And it's amazing what comes out of the subconscious, or, you know, out of the back of our creative brain, that kind of just comes to the surface, and it never ceases to amaze me.
Right. And I would say in the beginning of the design process like that, the creative process, there are no bad ideas as long as they all kind of push you in the direction of another one. And Joey will find this out, that once you do get some momentum into graphic design, I'm sure I'm causing an echo here. Once you do get into some momentum into graphic design, you'll realize that you're not designing everything that you want to do. Sometimes you just got to keep the lights on and pay the bills. But you work within the restraints. We were talking about it before, working within limitations. And your limitations are client wants this, this, and this, and this, plus the extra limitations of the client communicates this way and doesn't know all the terms that you're talking about. So you need to read between the lines. There are a lot of limitations in graphic design. I'd say it's more about graphic design is you want to communicate a very specific message, whereas straight up art is you want to communicate how you feel. Kind of. I think that's
that's good. And I guess all I was trying to convey was the where the art comes in, where the creativity comes in, where it's kind of like it's not sort of around the tool. It's sort of what you put in your head, and then sort of trying to apply abstract, because we're trying to capture an essence. We're not trying to be literal. Like you might see a lot of hardware stores and the logo is a hammer, and for example, but a more artistic approach, I guess, is sort of trying to capture the essence of a hammer.
The essence of hammer, yes.
The essence of hammer, and how you do that, and that's where that kind of I think where that creative brain processing comes in, where you sort of like you're almost shutting off. And you're just allowing your brain to kind of like sort of dig out that essence. And that's a battle. That is really, really tough.
It is a battle. You need to kind of trust yourself to know what is going on. So when I began Tweet to Paper, I had no idea what I was going to do as far as style, as far as how was I going to write things? How do I even use these things? And I would spend so much time thinking about what I'm doing as I'm drawing it out. And there's no way I would be able to talk to anybody while I was doing it. But eventually, you learn to trust yourself and you learn to know that, okay, my instincts about what I'm doing, my creativity, I believe in them, and I'm just going to go forward with them. And that's
absolutely.
It takes a while. You guys, if you want any last words, I want to let a couple other people hop in because I'm getting kind of close. Okay, thank you, Craig. All right. Thanks, Joey.
I'll jump out. Nice work, man. I like that.
Oh, thanks.
Drawing you did.
And good luck in your graphic design education. It's awesome that you made that choice.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Looks like we're going to let Bader, I hope you have a better connection this time around. We're going to let Kevin on in too. Creativity should be nurtured.
Hey, Aaron. How are you?
Hey, Kevin. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to talk to that point that you guys were just talking about, because I've done a lot of web development and print and general design like that, and I've never really felt like that fed the creative part of me, and that is because of that need to because I also have a business background. I always felt like I was stifled because I understand that the website also has to create business for them, and it has to be search engine friendly, and so there's all of these limitations you full well know. And so what I started doing was I went back and started doing photography again.
Oh, nice.
And I treat photography kind of like I treat fishing. It's, you're going to go out, you're going to do some photography. You may catch something that you like, or you may not, but you still went out and you did it for a selfish purpose. And so I rarely shoot for, I definitely don't do weddings, and I rarely shoot for pay because that's my selfish pleasure, because I've done over 300 and some websites over the years, and that just never fed the creative beast that I, that I wanted. So I just wanted to add that. I thought, people that understand that commercial type of work kind of get what I'm saying there, is that yes, you're being creative. I mean, heck, when I create marketing things for people, marketing strategies and so forth, that could be considered creative. but it's not the same kind of creative. It's not feeding.
It's not the exact same. No.
Yeah.
And yeah, I work for a software company. That's my 9 to 5, and I work with the UX team as well. And that's a very common thing. I mean, sometimes you just feel like, especially in coding, dev work, you don't always see the big picture. So you don't feel like, okay, well, yeah, I'm coming up with the code. I'm coming up with all this stuff, but really, this isn't my initiative. It's not mine.
Right.
It's not my baby or anything like that. Whereas the photography, definitely.
Yeah. So like I went to there's a big auction called the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Festival here near me. And it's one of the largest auctions. And so there's this opportunity to see all of these old cars that you normally wouldn't even see you wouldn't even see them at normal car shows.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one day I went and I decided, you know what, I'm going to shoot nothing but grills and hood ornaments.
And there's that limitation. There's that limitation you're putting yourself. That's a good challenge.
Yeah, nobody was telling me, oh, no, you can't do that. We need X. We need the full car. We need whatever. It's like, screw it. I'm going to go do that, and I'll see what comes out. And so I did, a lot of limited depth of field, very close-up stuff and whatever. So anyway, I don't want to keep going on about that, but that's how I get some creativity fix.
Well, no, that's great, and I think you're kind of giving yourself some time to nurture your own creativity and give yourself a creative outlet. I think it's important for everyone to feel like, they can contribute something that they love to the world, even if it's even if it's taking the weekend to go shoot some photos at an auto show. I think that's awesome. Mm-hmm.
Thanks for doing the show.
Oh yeah, awesome. For sure. Thanks for sharing, Kevin. And if anybody in the chat over there wants to hit that little tell a bird button, which side am I pointing over there? We should be heading to the color portion of our show tonight. So please do. Hey, Carmela.
Hey, Aaron. How's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
All right. I love this piece here. I think it's like good enough just to be on a T-shirt in black and white.
I saw that over there. Yeah, I had to invite you in because, when I'm drawing, I'm looking down and I can't always keep track of everything in chat. But I know you're saying a lot, so welcome.
Yeah, thanks. So definitely on the creative thing. I mean, I work in tech. Mostly I've done in e-commerce, but I've also been able to develop my role so that I do include some creativity into it. I've always been able to do that. I've been fortunate enough to do that. Right now I'm freelancing now, so I've been able to take that creativity and do some things and working with clients and then showing them examples that I've done personally as well as with brands and saying, here's what I've done personally for, as an outlet. One of the things is like definitely on the photography side, food photography especially. Been showing a lot about that.
So hot right now.
Yeah, I've been showing a lot about that. But I actually used to work for Moleskine up until the summer, so a company that's really big on creativity. It's great. And one of the things that has been a huge takeaway for me from working there is just, really looking at our personal journeys as a form of creativity. So, making decisions on where we go in life and the actions that we take, there's a lot of creativity in that. I mean, even through some rough times, if you have to hustle, you're coming up with some creative ways to get out of it.
That is a fact, yes.
Yeah. So, I hear a lot of people say they don't feel they can be creative or they've been stifled. But, even in those trying times, the way that our brains work allow us the capability to be creative, and we may need to take a step back and reflect on those things, just to kind of see that, I was pretty creative in that area. You don't have to be an artist, you don't have to be a writer.
Right. And I agree. I think maybe because many people were brought up like that, where the creativity wasn't encouraged, they're afraid to give themselves some creative credit. Like saying, hey, you know what? I had to, whether you're in the office, I had to deal with this problem client, or I had to deal with two people that I don't like, but I found a creative way to do it, and I found a way to solve that problem. But yeah, you're right. There's so many other ways besides visual arts to being creative.
Yeah, and I would say I'm pretty lucky growing up that I had the ability to do a lot with art. And one of the things that I find very sad now is that how many schools, both public and private, have lost out on their funding for the arts. And the kids suffer for it. Where I was able to do everything from music to acting to crafts. I mean, I even had a class in weaving. I mean,
an entire class?
Yes, an entire. Like we had a project for half of the school year on weaving. We had a loom in the classroom.
That is baller.
Yeah, and so it's fortunate to be able to have that, but now seeing where kids, especially where I am in New York City, like kids don't even get a simple art class because they put all their funding into testing.
Yeah, testing and results that are just numbers, and it takes out the soul of what's going on in the school. That is very sad.
Yeah, it's very sad, and so it leaves a lot to the parents and caregivers to help their kids hone in on their creative side. Like one of the things that I've seen just with a couple of neighbors is taking their kids to the museum and letting them bring a notebook with them and then just kind of draw what they see, because they wanted their kids to have that kind of interaction. I grew up in a family where my mom was very much for the arts, but my cousins didn't have that access unless my mom took them along with us. My mom's siblings had no appreciation for the arts. They would tell you, like, if you're going to think you're going to become an artist, you're fooling yourself. You need to really, be practical. And one of my cousins is an amazing sketcher. And he wanted to go to art school. He had the opportunity, full scholarship, go to art school. And his mom said, no, you're not going to art school. And, that really took a lot out of him. So, he's now in his 40s and he still kind of dreams of those days, developing his comic book characters and stuff. But he's like, no, I didn't get that opportunity. So that kind of.
Well, tell him to stop dreaming. So when I need to put this on mute again. So yeah, when I graduated high school, they were like, hey, Aaron, my guidance counselor, he's like, hey, Aaron, you're really good at science. You're really good at biology. Why don't you go be a scientist? I'm like, all right, yeah, that sounds fine. And then I was a horrible student. I got C's and D's struggling through 2.5 years of college, and it was horrible. And then I switched to anthropology, which is more human, learning about human cultures. But when I finished, you don't find jobs in anthropology, basically. Bones doesn't happen a lot, and I don't even like that show. But yeah, then I went back and got an associate's in graphic design, something I'd always kind of enjoyed doing. And because I made that decision on my own and pushed myself, I was able to turn it into something enjoyable and actually, was able to support myself doing. So, but to go back to your point about, arts being cut in the schools and then going home and hopefully finding outlets there. But yeah, a lot of these families, they don't have time. Their parents are working two jobs each, and there's no one to push that. So you get thrown in front of a TV, and that's that.
Yeah, and I love. I guess I'm one of those. I love PBS, and I love what they do. And so I've actually had conversations with family members where I've said, well, rather than just put cartoons on, which cartoons aren't bad, I was like, why don't you put on something like Create? And
yeah,
and then one of my aunts did that, and my cousin ended up becoming a little foodie because he got.
Oh, that's great.
So that was a nice way to kind of instill some creativity and pique his interest. Now, whatever he decides to do with that in the future, you know, that's on him. But you know, just trying to find ways. But yeah, to your point, it's very hard, especially when you have both parents working in the home, and you know, depending on their financial stature, you know, what are they able to do when the resources are limited? It's, you know, it's a tough call. No, I don't. You know, let's see, there's some bad parents out there, but I think for the general part, most parents want to provide their kids with the most access that they can. And
I agree.
They will flourish, you know?
I think most parents would like that, but a lot of times the situation doesn't grant them the freedom to do that, the time freedom, the monetary freedom, or anything like that. Well, Carmela, I am going to wrap this up, but I greatly appreciate your insight on the importance of creativity, and I will bring this up here and show the rest. Oh, Allison. So, did that go through? Oh, okay. Well, I have finished it. Sorry, Allison, we're kind of wrapping up here. I want to show everybody the finished product. You can go here. So we have creativity should be nurtured, not punished. And just to wrap up the thought, even if creativity wasn't nurtured in the beginning of your life, as we grow into adults, as we go to college and get out of high school where, you know, constraints are put on us, I think we owe it to ourselves. Oh, geez, what was his name? I forget. Sorry. Not the best with names, but he was talking about making time for him. He called it selfish to make creative time for himself, but I don't believe it is selfish. I think it's something we owe ourselves, just like we owe respect and opportunity to other people. We owe it to ourselves to give us some creative time and do something that you enjoy. Who knows? You can maybe one day turn it into a career. So creativity should be nurtured, not punished. I encourage you. I put my links over there to my Twitter and Instagram. If you would like to participate in an actual, get your tweet drawn up, go ahead and use Tweet to Paper, hashtag Tweet to Paper. That'll get it on my radar. And depending on what mood I'm in that day, I may draw it up live on Blab. So go ahead and hit the follow, click my name, hit the follow. I'll be doing this probably 3 times a week. Thank you all for jumping in and hanging out in the chat. I'm going to wrap this baby up, and I will see you later. Bye now.